to cover the RedEye software application that we feel is really one of the biggest things to happen in our industry over the past really couple of decades, providing a cloud-based document control and drawing management solution for campus facilities customers that is super easy to use, extremely new looking interface, the type of application I think your end users and consumers will digest and use very simply. So we're really excited about showing this to you. We're going to have a session today where Matt Lane is going to review the RedEye as a business overview, followed by a technical overview, showing you the product a little bit, interfaces and screens and how it works, followed by, and we're extremely lucky to have a couple of customers with us today who are implementing RedEye, starting with Anna Teamer from the University of Texas at Austin and Colin Johnson from Brown University, who will both present a little bit about their past and present and future, and their decision to go with RedEye and what their expectations are. So we're really excited and thankful to have both Anna and Colin. And just real quick, just a one slide Hagerman background for those of you that don't know us. We've been around a long time. Matt, who will be doing the presentation, and I focus exclusively on drawing and document management solutions for campus facilities customers and industrial facilities customers. So the one takeaway I'd like everybody to have is that besides just showing you this presentation today, Hagerman and Company provides the RedEye software. We provide this services that you would need to implement the solution, migrate your data into RedEye, do training for all different types of users, and then do post go live support and ongoing support for the life cycle of your experience. So we can also, at the very end, I'll go through this, but anybody that's interested after watching this, which I hope you all are, we can provide more detailed presentations specific to your campus and your needs and your interests. So this will be a general overview, but we can definitely zoom in on specifics with each individual customer whenever you would like that to happen. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt at this time, and I'll join back in the end.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you to everyone joining us here today. I just want to take a few minutes to just kind of give an overview of the RedEye application and show you a little bit about what it looks like. So hopefully, when we, as quickly as possible, get things turned over to Anna and Colin, you've got a vision in your mind what RedEye is all about and what it looks like. So, like Andrew mentioned, we've been out in the marketplace working with customers for 30 years now on document management systems. And over the years, some of what customers want has stayed the same. In some ways, things have migrated. But kind of what the feedback we're getting from the marketplace in terms of what customers want now more than ever, is a simple, easy to use system, can be quickly implemented, has a very low IT and administration burden, can be accessed from anywhere, then has strong features like really good searching to help you find your drawings and documents quickly. Being in facilities, you need to work with drawings, so you need a system that's really good at supporting CAD and supporting drawings and models. Then integrated viewing and previewing of those files. And then because the nature of most college campuses, you've been there for a long time, there's a lot of files, a lot of data you want to get in there. A system that makes it easy to get all of those files and that data imported. And then last, and maybe most important these days, a system that does all that at a reasonable cost. So some of the features of why universities like the University of Texas and Brown University of others are looking at and going to RedEye in their facilities area is that it is a full-featured system for facilities management. Also then from a cost and a management standpoint, RedEye has an unlimited user pricing model. So if you want to expand the number of users, or have a difficulty just getting a count of how many users you're going to have over your campus, that's not anything you worry about. Also, RedEye is a SaaS or cloud-based system, which we're really seeing a strong trend of organizations wanting to move that direction. But then RedEye also has the option of having the data backed up to your site in case the internet goes down. You've still got access to your files. As you'll see, RedEye, we think, is a very easy to use system, single user interface for all PC-based users, and it does support both internal document control and outside project collaboration with AEC firms and contractors and so on. Also, mobile device support is becoming more and more important to college campuses. So RedEye is strong there, supports QR codes for searching and retrieving files. We mentioned about the import tools. RedEye also has really good native file viewing. So just about any 2D or 3D CAD file can be imported into RedEye and viewed along with all of your other standard file types. Another big emerging area that people are asking for and is possible now and that RedEye provides is OCR searching. Given the nature of your work and history of your campuses, you may have a lot of scanned paper drawings, or you may just get PDF versions of drawings from AEC firms. RedEye has the capability to do optical character recognition, and even on the oldest hand-drawn paper scan drawings, with RedEye you can search and retrieve drawings and documents by any text that's in them, whether it's in the title block or in the body of the document or drawing. RedEye also supports managing support for projects and concurrent engineering, so you can have both as-built and project copies of drawings and documents and merge and manage them. And also a lot of system integration is possible as well, like GIS and asset management systems. Before you can use a drawing or document, you've got to find it first. So some of the tools in RedEye to help you find documents. With RedEye, you can search and browse for files in a folder structure, like what you may have in Windows now. You can also tag drawings and documents with pertinent metadata or properties like site, building, discipline, project, etc. Search and retrieve based off of that. If you have AutoCAD drawings with attributed title blocks, that information can be indexed into RedEye as properties for search and retrieval. RedEye will also do text content searching in cases where the files contain true text, like a Word document or an AutoCAD drawing file. But then, as I've mentioned, going beyond that to the next frontier to be able to do that OCR search and retrieve. So all of those methods are available to search and find files in RedEye. Now, RedEye Mobile, just a little bit about the mobile client. It is really an inherent feature of RedEye, not something that was tacked onto an older system and may not be that strong. Where the mobile app, it is optimized for mobile screen space, actually includes additional features that are valuable to that a mobile user might need above and beyond the PC-based usage. You can download files. If your mobile device is going to have to go offline and you still need access to the files, and then can sync back up later when you reconnect, and then full QR code and camera integration is part of the RedEye mobile application. Now, what we're hearing from more and more campuses, both with document management and other applications, is really wanting to move to a cloud-based SaaS or software as a service-based solution, which RedEye is that. And just some of the feedback we're getting from campuses, and I think Colin and Anna will elaborate on this, is, the advantage of a SaaS-based solution is, there's no need for you to provide internal server resources, no need to budget for and deploy software upgrades. It's easier to onboard staff in that it can streamline security and getting them set up, but still maintains full security. And then post-COVID, SaaS-based systems are really good for providing availability anywhere. If you got people working from home, got people with mobile devices. And then with SaaS-based software, the one price you pay provides you the application software, server hardware and software, database software, and then installation and upgrades of the software. So it is very nice with that all-inclusive type pricing model. Now, just a few slides to kind of give you an idea of what RedEye looks like. You see RedEye, when you're on a laptop or desktop computer, it runs in a web browser, and it's designed to have a very simple, clean interface, where here I can click on search, to initiate searching for documents, where it has discipline, and then the folder icon. I can use that to expand and browse for files in RedEye in a folder type structure. Down here, I've got saved searches and queries that I can single click to access. RedEye will also, you can tag files as favorites, so you can get back to them under this heading, or all of your files you've most recently accessed, those are cached here, so you can quick click and get to those. And then we've got the quick search bar here. So then if I browse for files, search for files, go to recent or favorites, this is a file display in RedEye. One nice thing with RedEye, they call them thumbnails, but they're a lot bigger than a thumbnail, so it makes it very easy for you to preview files to help you graphically select the right one before you open it, download it, or operate on it. And you can see I've got a whole variety of different file types displayed here. Or you can display your files where the files are in rows, and then you can have property headings so you can scan and see some of the different key properties associated with each file. With RedEye, you can also display your files against a campus map. So then you could zoom into a building or a room and graphically select the files pertaining to that location. Then some of the more file details. So then if I select any file off my listing or search results, I can bring it up for more detailed viewing. And as you'll see, RedEye has native file viewing for just about every file type built in. This happens to be a DWG file. Down the right-hand side, I can see all of the property values associated with this particular file and edit them. And I can also do other operations on the file, route it through a workflow, do a markup, print it, things like that. Then here is a scanned TIFF drawing. So again, that can be fully displayed. Here's a PDF drawing, Word document. In this case, this is a Navisworks 3D model. So probably some or most of your campuses are starting to get into more 3D and BIM. So Revit and Navisworks models can be managed and viewed in RedEye as well. Some of the searching, you can build searches here, or you can have saved searches and queries that you can select from here on the left side. I've selected my building project discipline query, so then it pops up and I've got parent-child drop-down lists to then filter and search for my files based on that combination of properties. OCR searching, so here I'm saying find a file with OCR content contains pump house, and you can see it's found this file. And then if I take a look at it, you can see even though this was a bit of a rough scanned hand drawing, RedEye is able to search and retrieve based off of that information. RedEye actually has the capability that if a human eyes and brain can decipher the text, RedEye can as well. RedEye also has fully customizable workflow capabilities, has dashboards. So here I can get reports on my data quality. So you can see 88.7% of my files have the title filled in. And then if I click, it'll bring me up a list of files that don't have that filled in. So I can address that shortfall if I wish to. And then RedEye Mobile, these are screenshots from RedEye Mobile from my iPad. So you have the same type of dashboard where you can click and see the files that you've marked as favorites, recent files. I can click on a file. I've got the same full viewing and markup capabilities on a mobile device that I have in the browser-based client. I can also initiate searches. I can also participate in workflows via my mobile device. So you can see here's a list of files that are in my inbox to review, or I can select approve. So hopefully that gives everybody an overview of kind of what RedEye looks like before Anna and Colin go into more details on their respective journeys to RedEye. So at this point, I will turn it over to Anna for her presentation.
Great, thank you. I'm Anna Teamer, Director of Operations Support at UT Austin. So I'm going to walk through UT Austin's path forward with RedEye and how we got to where we are today. It's really not just a technology story, but it's a governance, ownership, culture, and then change management story for us. So I'll get started with where we started, what didn't work, and how we reset the program going through it. So to sort of ground us in this conversation, here's a quick snapshot of UT Austin. As you might imagine, we're large, complex. Our footprint spans multiple campuses all across Texas. We even have some in DC. And the scale and diversity is exactly why document management matters for us. It's the volume and criticality of our records is only increasing. As you can see in our future, we have a Texas Medical Center with a joint partnership with MD Anderson. So it's very critical for our document management to be intact. Campus operations and plannings exists to support our mission. So this is where I live within this portfolio, and we have about 1,300 employees. Document management touches every single one of these, and you've got design and construction documents to O&M manuals and inspections. We also have compliance records as well as test and balance information as well. So really the cross-functional dependency across these organizations makes our governance and clarity absolute essential. So today where we are, we have Meridian Vault. It was established in 2012. Right now in there we have about 100K documents. It's CAD, Revit, PDFs. So from a volume perspective, Meridian is 100% able to manage and handle the data, but it is not easy for us to find the documents. So from an accessibility and governance perspective, it started to show the cracks of where it was very difficult to find our files. So our challenges really started to come into play early on, lack of stakeholder engagement during our configuration and implementation. there wasn't really, at the time when it was implemented, like just a large culture that says, hey, this is super important. There should be a governance around it. There's a champion, leadership behind it. So I think that was one of the first indications. And also what I saw as being a part of the implementation is, I often say this to my staff, when it's the right thing to do and it's the hardest thing to do, we need to still do it. And I think in this case is where that really showed its true color. So it's really hard to set up and put in the documents in a way that's easy for the user to find it later. But because it's hard, that is the right thing to do. That's what we should do. So that's where that early configuration of how do we set it up so that it's easy for someone to retrieve the data and documents versus it was easy for us to put the documents in there, right? So we want it to be easy for the person to retrieve the documents. So over time, our organizational changes separated our system ownership from the content ownership. So it was in an entirely different organization. It's now back in campus ops and planning. So that's also one of our challenges. And then we just really didn't have good metadata. It really complicated our search and retrieval. And so a little bit about that path forward. In 2009, we set up a building information initiative because from 2012 to 2019, after it was taking more than 4 hours, up to 8 hours to find a document when it was critical, I would have given up after hour 5, perhaps, but someone kept going. They needed it. We determined in 2019, okay, we need a better solution. And we took a list of requirements that we had from a previous RFP, and then just like whatever we could dream up. We interviewed a lot of document management systems, and RedEye came out with flying colors when we did that test. Unfortunately, after we presented that to our leadership, we only had funding for like $20K, and a part of that was from a project. So from 2019 to 2025, we tried to implement sort of a makeshift solution where the system would go out and try to search for, I call it kind of the spider approach. It would try to go find the documents wherever they were finding. Because as you can imagine, if Meridian wasn't working, what did everyone do? They started to house their files in different places, and that is no fun. If you think it's in one version of the truth, nope. There's other folders where people are storing it so that they can find it later. So we tried this kind of spider approach, and it failed miserably, as you might imagine. Cheaper is not always better. Easier is not always better. And in 2025, we were able to pitch to leadership that we needed a very strong campus facilities document management program. We hired Amy Gauze, who oversees this program, and also Emily Prines, who manages this program. So we have dedicated staff, 2 today, or 1.5 to 2. And in November, we procured RedEye with support from Hagerman. And in December 2025, we transitioned, and we're in the process now of moving all of our documents from Meridian into RedEye. And I'm so excited about that. Some of the reasons why we selected RedEye, Matt shared a lot of really great reasons: the SAS, the single sign-on user capability. For us, it was, how do we find documents easier? That was at the top of our list, but also that scalability of, we know that we're growing, we know that we're going to have more staff, and we know that we're going to find more documents that we're not housing today. But also we have more documents coming with our medical school coming online. Matt also mentioned the mobile. We implemented that a couple of years ago, and we wanted the ability to have a mobile device accessibility, that was really at the forefront as well as sort of the integration with our systems today. So we have our CMMS system, and we have work order management. We also have space, and we wanted the best tool that could also be implemented and integrated with those other pieces. It was very appealing for us that we had someone walk alongside us. We are not experts in this. We don't do it every day. So we very quickly realized we wanted some support from Hagerman and Accruent, and they're very well versed in moving Meridian to RedEye, but as well as other systems also. But for us, we really wanted that migration support. So where we are today, our emphasis is on sequencing. Governance for us is a huge piece. We're recognizing that having that core team alongside a governance structure where we then get that approved and supported by our executive leadership is really critical. So we set that up, as well as at the same time, how do we configure RedEye along with our UT requirements? We're a big or complex organization, and how do we configure that in a way that's really beneficial for our documents? We are right in the middle of migrating all of our documents over. We'll begin the validation process, where I imagine we'll find a lot of gaps in our documents, where we start to go to our couch cushions and find those documents that people have been like, well, I didn't want to give them up to you because if they went into Meridian, I was never going to find them. So we'll begin that validation, and then our go live will be late May, early June. I am pleasantly surprised at how we've stayed on schedule, on task, with having Hagerman and RedEye support us in this implementation. I think that speaks volumes to their assistance, but as well as to the team that we've hired here. So major kudos also to Emily and Amy here at UT. I think for us, we're really pushing towards some new construction. We also have a new building coming online. We want to practice with that building first, hand over all of those documents, see how that's going to be transferred into RedEye as we prepare for the medical school. So I'm really excited. We're on task, and that's been really nice for us to report back to our leadership after they've given us some funding for this. So my last slide is really after go live, what happens after that. And for us, we recognize that it's not the finish line. It's really our starting point. We really want to look to RedEye to modernize how we manage our facility information, and how do we retrieve the data and documents in a way that allows for our workflow to really provide efficiencies that we didn't have before. Even if documents were found really quickly in Meridian, they might not have been comprehensive, and we might have been lacking some other elements to those documents because they weren't joined properly. So I'm excited about really enhancing that foundation for standardization, how we govern that content management across our portfolios. And I really truly believe when I say this, that this is how our document management becomes a strategic asset. And we treat it that way as we have moved to RedEye. It's not just a repository for us. So I think that's been our biggest lesson, is that this data and document is extremely important, and we have to treat it as such. And I think that we've really established that with RedEye. So thank you. I'm now going to pass this over to my colleague at Brown University. He also is in his transition over to RedEye, and I know that he's going to have some really great key points to share with you as well. So I'll pass it over.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Johnson, and I am the Director of Facilities Systems and Services team here at Brown University. We are nestled within the Facilities and Campus Operations Department, and we are also on a journey to RedEye. So great presentation, Anna. I think, I'm seeing a lot of parallels between our two organizations, and I think every person on this call, if you're going to look to reevaluate your document management strategy, I think you'll be hitting a lot of these same topics and opportunities down the road. Let me share my screen here for a moment. So a little bit about Brown University. We are nestled within Providence, Rhode Island, in the northeast of the United States. We have about 235 buildings across 146 acres. We have anywhere between 10 to 11,000 students, undergrad and graduate students at any time. And we too have a complex building environment. We have a lot of old and aging buildings. We have a lot of new construction that's going up. We're getting ready to build one of our largest buildings ever on campus, the Danoff Research Lab. So we have a very interesting environment. We're nestled into a city. It's a shared campus. There's a lot of historical requirements for some of our buildings where we can only change certain things in the facade. A lot of retrofits of new technology into older spaces. So having a really robust document management system is a must. The Facilities and Campus Operations Department, we have about 100 or so administrative staff that are spread out throughout our campus. We have two main hubs for our staff, but there are a lot of key stations and satellite locations based on different projects that are going on at any given time. And we have about 400 union-based custodial and trade staff that support our campus. One thing I want to mention, just to kind of set the stage here, every single one of those custodial and trade staff have a mobile device that they carry every day. It's how they obtain space information for the campus. It's how they get to their document management needs when they're out in the field, and it's how they perform work orders and work on the different buildings on campus. We have a pretty robust digital ecosystem here at Brown. So we use PlanOn for our space, asset, materials, and service request management. We use ArcGIS for our spatial data and our campus map. We use Autodesk for our floor plans, AutoCAD, and soon to be Revit files. We have, over the last few months, hired a BIM coordinator and have started to build out Revit models and BIM models of our different buildings. We're doing some proof of concepts now, and I think we're really excited to see that transition from 2D to 3D over the next few years. And we also use Meridian currently as our document management system. So talking a little bit about our evolution of the plan room, if you look back a little over a decade, back in 2012 to 2014, we had a digital transformation initiative here at Facilities and Campus Operations. So we used to have a physical plan room where if people needed to pull up floor plans, as-built, asset manuals for assets that are in our buildings, they would have to travel to a central location at the northeast end of campus, head to a plan room, interact with our CAD staff to find these files in person that are either hanging up on a drawing rack or stuffed in a filing cabinet somewhere. So, for decades, we've always had a plan room. I think a lot of you on this call are either transitioning from a plan room or have transitioned to some sort of digital format already. But for those of you who have done that, it's definitely a big lift. In 2012, we engaged an outside vendor for a multi-year project to scan, index, and digitize all of our records, and also start to apply metadata to those records. In 2014, we went live with Meridian. So summer 2014, Meridian was really the foundation of our digital transformation initiative within our plan room. It addressed some critical challenges that we had here at facilities. So, I think Anna touched on a few of these, document retrieval speed. Even today, finding a specific document can take hours and hours. Imagine having to travel to a central location, especially with folks working hybrid. We have people who are totally remote, a physical plan room just would not work in today's working modality climate. So really, this was the first step, digitizing our documents, standing up Meridian, starting to drive some of that change management with project managers and operations folks to get documents into Meridian, apply the correct metadata to them, make them searchable. That's a big lift and a big initiative. We're about a decade past that now, 2026. We've learned a lot over the last decade about what works and what doesn't. We've had a lot of staffing turnover throughout the especially post-COVID, lots of retirements, lots of folks looking for other opportunities and have traveled outside of Brown. We've lost a lot of that institutional knowledge that we built up around Meridian over the last decade. So we've had a high turnover for some of our project managers, and this has led to some inconsistent document handover processes at the end of projects, as well as some data silos between our planning, design, and construction and operations team. So, as people have left the university, people, I think, Anna, you kind of alluded to this too, people are stashing documents wherever they can. Some things are tucked away in a Google Drive or on somebody's desktop, and when somebody leaves and they reimage your laptop, some of those things are just lost forever if they're not stored in a central location. So it creates a lot of issues, and it's a huge change management opportunity to get people to buy into this process to make sure that things aren't left when people leave your organization. COVID-19 was a huge shift in how people work. A lot of our staff within our planning, design, and construction team, our finance team, our projects team, they're all hybrid or remote, or they're on site. No one is sitting in a central location anymore all day. They're all over campus. People are working from home. Our operations team is still mostly focused within a single location on campus, but a lot of our other teams who need access to these documents are all over the place. Mobile has really caught on over the last decade. If you think about where things were 10 years ago, iPhones were prevalent, but people thought of them as an accessory, not really a mobile first initiative like people do with mobile devices today. Now everybody works, everybody has an iPhone in their pocket. They use it as a primary means of communication and a primary means of work. So things have changed a lot over the last 10 years. Security requirements have also changed a lot. So, we've had a few security incidents on campus over the last few years. In terms of IT security, things have tightened down a little bit. We have some Brown specific policies that have made it very difficult to upload documents to Meridian. So to upload a document, I'll give you an example. People have to be sitting in a seat with their laptop plugged in to an Ethernet cable or on VPN, with a reserved IP address to upload a document, and that's just not the reality of how people work these days. So a few years ago, we started an RFI and an RFP process to look at replacing Meridian. We went and looked at 7 different unique solutions to find a platform that most closely aligned with our needs here at Brown. Some of the things that were most important to us during that search, we really wanted to make a shift towards a SaaS solution, both something that was cloud hosted and something that receives consistent and regular updates. I think one of the things with Meridian today is every couple of years you have to fund an upgrade process. It causes an interruption to your users. It's usually a lengthy and costly process. But with the SaaS solution, it's something that is every month you could expect new updates and new functionality and new opportunities to improve your business. Cloud availability and something that is off-prem. It's getting more and more expensive to host applications here at our local data center. They're being more stringent about the types of things that they want to stand up. So something that was, added another layer of resiliency to our technology stack was important to us. Something that is easy to use and easy to search through. So just like Anna alluded to, people are having trouble finding things in Meridian. It's very easy to upload and attribute that metadata, but to actually find the things you're looking for can be a bit difficult sometimes. So something that is a little easier to use and search for was important to us. And something with an unlimited user model. We want to expand this to folks outside of facilities, start to bring in some of our campus partners and outside vendors. We want to make sure that it's very easy to onboard those external folks into an application. So we ended up choosing the RedEye product. Again, some of those core pillars, the SaaS model was very appealing to us. A true cloud solution that receives regular updates is very important. We wanted something that has native and robust mobile access. Again, all of our staff have iPhones and iPads out in the field. So we wanted something that was both mobile friendly and mobile first, and something with smart searches and workflows. Today there aren't a lot of workflows that we have outside of our O&M approval workflow. We wanted to expand that a bit and take a bit more accountability for when files get uploaded and when they need to be reviewed. I think the out-of-the-box workflows in RedEye were really appealing to us. There are a few other things, the ability for RedEye to OCR everything out of the box and display it natively in a web browser was a huge plus to me. They also showed us a few really neat pieces of technology, being able to print anything from RedEye with a QR code. Anything that you print has a little QR code at the top, and if you scan it, it tells you if you're on the most recent version or not. And if you're not, it shows you the most recent version from RedEye. We have a huge problem with printing, and the minute you print something, it's out of date. So that was a huge selling point for me. And being able to slide between document versions and see revision history, and there's some really robust features that sold us out of the gate with RedEye. So to talk a little bit about our implementation roadmap, we are actually pretty close to going live. We're marching towards a late April, early May 2026 go live date. This does kind of coincide with commencement, which is coming up soon. So I think the plan is to do a bit of a soft go live in early May, have Meridian stood up through the end of commencement and through the end of May, and then fully train and transition over to RedEye in June. But really that configuration phase, aligning the out-of-the-box RedEye with Brown processes and procedures, getting it hooked up to our single sign-on environment and creating the bucket and environment within RedEye was all very simple. Migrating our documents has been very easy from Meridian. There's been some challenges with Google Drive documents, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But we're in the validation and user testing phase right now, making sure that everything looks perfect, that metadata came over as expected, and that the application is meeting our needs. So a little bit more testing and a little bit of initial user training for the technical team, and we should be live hopefully sometime later this month or in early May. And just some implementation thoughts and opportunities and challenges that we've had here at Brown. So overall, the RedEye implementation has been very smooth. I think from a technical perspective, we've had very few hitches. We're very close to our original project schedule. We originally wanted to go live sometime in early April, and I think a 30-day or so delay is pretty reasonable in the higher ed space. Some things take a little bit longer, and it's been a crazy year here at Brown. I know you all have had similar experiences with your institutions over the last few years. But there are one thing we've noticed is there are many opportunities for improvement here at Brown in terms of our processes and business processes. So we're trying to align to these out-of-the-box RedEye workflows whenever possible. I think again, with a lot of institutional knowledge that's rotated out of Brown over the last decade, there's been a really good opportunity to step back and look at this from a change management perspective. Really look at some of our document delivery processes and our metadata attribution processes, and even people, updating and checking out documents for O&M review. It's been a good opportunity to step back and make sure that we're doing things the right way. Like I noted, the migration of documents from Meridian to RedEye has been very straightforward. They were able to stand up almost an exact copy of our Meridian Vault, stand it up in RedEye. They're currently attributing the metadata now, but I've been very happy with what I've seen. Even the out-of-the-box OCR and search capabilities are much, much, much better than what we are used to. I think I even, as we were testing it initially over the last few weeks, you can kind of find what you're looking for even without having metadata. It's that powerful, that OCR search. Obviously, metadata is still critical to being able to locate things quickly, but I've been very impressed with what's out of the box with RedEye so far. The one hitch that we've hit, and again, we alluded to this a bit, due to that institutional knowledge and people leaving Brown University, people have been storing some things in Google Drive over the last few years just so they don't lose them. So some things have not made it into Meridian. There's a lot of duplicates of things that have either been dumped into project folders in Google Drive and things that were added to Meridian. So RedEye does have some pretty powerful duplicate file checking capabilities. So when you go to upload a file, it'll warn you before that file even gets uploaded if it's a duplicate. But that's been a big lift for us, is trying to pare down, what's in Google, what really needs to be moved over, and also try to automate that process. So, the big challenge with everything that's in Google Drive is the complete lack of metadata. The way we have it structured today is everything is in a project folder with our project number. But outside of that, there's no building, document class, discipline. All of that doesn't exist on something that lives in a Google Drive. So we're working with Hagerman and Company to try to automate this. I think we're getting really close to a solution, but being able to try to use potentially some AI resources or another path to automate this to attribute that metadata, I think is going to be really critical here. The out-of-the-box review and markup capabilities have been very appealing to the Brown team. Again, I was really pleased to see some of these out-of-the-box workflows so closely match where we wanted to head in terms of process design here at Brown. I've been really impressed with what the mobile capabilities are that we've seen so far. You know, like I said, being able to scan that QR code is a really nice feature. The search is very consistent on the mobile with what it is in the back office through a web view. And I think our technicians that rely on these documents out in the field are going to be very happy with that mobile app. And in general, you know, one of the biggest complaints we've heard over the last few years is not being able to find these files. I think the increased search capabilities as well as the OCR capabilities should make it very easy to adopt more users into RedEye. I think, you know, another thing that I've really liked that didn't quite make it to this list, but that I've been liking more over the last few weeks as I've been digging into it, everything in RedEye is URL based. So you're able to save a search and provide a URL to folks. So instead of like zipping up files and emailing them to someone, you can send them a RedEye search URL and say, here's the files you're looking for, and everything stays within the system. And that should make it really easy to integrate with systems. You can do it all based on unique URLs per project or per building or per asset. There's a lot of powerful tools there. But I think we're on a really good journey with RedEye. We're really close to implementation, and I think it's going to take us a few years to really turn the corner and get everybody on board and do that change management. That's always the toughest part. But I think from a technical perspective, we're really happy with where we are, and we're getting really close to our go live. And Andrew, I'll hand it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much. I'll let everybody know we're going to address some really good questions that came in here in just a minute. But I did want to thank Anna and Colin for your presentations, which are outstanding. One thing I wanted to echo, Anna hit on this, is I think the two things that are really important, no matter what product you select and implement for it to be successful, is going to be, first of all, support from upper management and leadership for these projects, not just financially, but from an enforcement standpoint and making sure the project moves on. And you know, Colin and Anna are on top of that every day with their projects. And then not just that, but then the resources that you're going to want to commit to the project to make sure that we're making progress every day, every week. And, you know, Colin has Chad and some other great folks on his team. Anna has Amy and Emily, she mentioned, who are rock stars and work with us every week. And those two things, the resources to work with us every week, and then the leadership commitment, those two things typically result in success. So I will finish with our email addresses were up there. We are happy to set up, you know, personalized discussions, discovery, and presentations with anybody. You will get recordings of this presentation after we're done as well, so don't panic on that. You'll also get a survey after if you choose to help us get better at our future presentations. We'd love to hear back from you. And we'll close with questions, and we had some good ones come in. I'm going to start with the one that's probably most for Colin and Anna, and that is about security. There were discussions surrounding security concerns based on this being a cloud platform instead of on-prem, and that comes up for us every time, but I think it's probably better for the customers here to address that. I don't know, Anna, if you wanted to go first.
So security is something that we're really talking about here and at UT just within the last month. It's been at the forefront. So for us, it's a single sign-on. We're able to join it with UT single sign-on, which is fantastic. It resolves a whole lot of things. And then we've created a data governance group that there's sort of like a boots on the ground working group, and then there's sort of a governance advisory group, and then there's our executive leadership that then approves what data is distributed. And what RedEye is really good at is once you're in their environment, you can then create rooms or places where it's behind sort of a locked door. You have to have permissions to get back in there. And then even when you're in that room, there's also maybe another sort of another trap door where you can go in and get some more information. So the flexibility and capability of documents is really nice. We have utilities and energy as well as our tunnel systems, which our students love to get into. We don't know why. So we have to lock down a lot of that information. So the ability to do that is really easy. The harder part for us is like creating that governance structure and then saying what is behind that wall. There's a balance between transparency, giving everybody everything so they can do their work, but also like what shouldn't be given because it could harm folks in the wrong hands.
I think at Brown, we have a very similar approach. I think, one of the big requirements was that it was able to integrate with our Shibboleth single sign-on solution. In Meridian, we use AD logins, and there's really no, two-step verification or single sign-on that's attributed with an AD login these days. So, moving from an AD login to single sign-on was important. We've also got a really robust IT security review process that has to happen before a contract is even signed and initiated. So, for transparency, RedEye was given, there's 3 levels of data security at Brown. Level 1 is something that's kind of a low risk and it's reviewed every 5 years. Level 2 is reviewed every 3 years, and it's kind of that medium risk. And level 3, which is what RedEye falls into, is that high risk. Think about all the things that live in RedEye, electrical diagrams and building diagrams and floor plans. And, those are all things that you don't want getting out. So it did pass a security review with flying colors. It does land in that top level of IT security in terms of a security level documents. But I don't think there were any major concerns from our IT security team. I think everything checked out.
There was a question about supporting .rvt and display and preview. And yes, RedEye will support preview and display the RVT files. And then Matt, I might have you expound a little bit on the 2 questions that Moira asked, starting maybe with the selection of files and folders, if they can be shared with another RedEye user, for instance, from the document management team to R&M worker.
Colin did touch on that a little bit, but with RedEye, you can have saved groups of files or saved searches of files or individual files. They each have their own unique URL or hyperlink in RedEye. So then you can just send that URL or hyperlink to anyone who has access to RedEye to be able to get those files. And then also a question on the flexibility of the metadata to keep using existing metadata fields. When you set up RedEye, you can and will work with you on it. Set it up for the specific metadata fields that you want to track drawings and documents by. Again, for higher ed, typically things like campus, building, project, discipline, vendor, and so on. That's all configurable and customizable, so you can match that to your needs and to your legacy data.
And I think that's the extent of the questions we got, and we're in with 3 minutes to go, so perfect timing. I wanted to again thank Anna and Colin and Matt for great presentations, and just remember to reach out to me if anybody wants to go into more detailed discussions. We'd be happy to take that journey with you, and I wish everyone a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.